Fozo, team captain of Beast Coast, and support player. You're watching Rainbow Six NAL.
Coming off a win, and we saw Space Station Gaming close out on Clubhouse. We're coming to another series where we can see some really good gunplay. I can't wait to see it. I'm going to be your host, Villy, and right next to me are my analysts. Spawny is going to join us today because Spawny does not like to break down the nitty-gritty. But when it comes to standings, Jacob, you have a lot to tell the audience right now.
Yeah, dude, there's a lot that just keeps going on with the standings after every game. So for clarification, what happened after that SSG win is they jump only one spot. They went from 7th place to 6th place, vaulting over Disrupt Gaming, but that may very well be temporary depending on the result of the TSM DG game that's happening at the very end of the day. But the thing that we now have to focus on, Veli, is the race for first place. The upcoming game that we're going to see is up to Oxygen. It is in their hands to win this stage right here, right now. If they get a win, regardless if it's in overtime or regulation, they get 3 points or 2 points. As a result of that, they vault over the Sonics and also disintegrate the head-to-head tiebreaker, which means that they are also going to vault over them and take that first place spot. For Beast Coast, it's a little bit different. The stakes aren't quite the same. They're looking to see if they can't get to 7th place because they cannot make it as high as SSG can anymore because of those points placements. So OXG are gunning for 1st, Beast Coast are gunning for 7th. Both of them have a lot riding on this game.
I like that. Kind of like Picasso. You painted a big picture about this series right here. And Jesse, and jumping into that, taking a look at Oxygen and their need to win right now, because I believe it's about a $30,000 prize pool change between 1st and 2nd. Oxygen has a lot to come ahead and win this matchup to get 1st place, which makes a statement. This is a team that we've always thought can be a top team, but they haven't showed us it yet in NA. So my question to you is, how does Oxygen look this season versus their last? Because they've made significant jumps so far.
Yeah, I think for me, it's first of all an incredible storyline. Oxygen Esports making these 2 changes. 2 young rookies, Kino and Yaga, coming onto this roster, having a huge difference. And I think really it is their sight play that has started to take off in an incredible way. We saw it in their last game where they played against Dark Zero on Coastline. I felt like Kino and Laxing's chemistry. It's weird to talk about chemistry between 2 players that, have only been playing for, what is this now, 7 games with each other? It's weird to talk about that, but it's so on point. They've been rocking these anchor operators. They were trading back between Smoke and Mute over on Coastline, and they were doing such a great job of coordinating with one another, as well as, of course, hitting the nuttiest shots you've ever seen with the SMG-11. So that's something I've been really impressed by, and I think it's, a huge statement because they're brand new players, because they're coming into it like a team with such established veterans on them. Laxing's been here since the very start. For those players to, work together so well, for the old guard to sort of teach the new guard and get them introduced into the scene, it's been fantastic to watch. And I really do think Oxygen Esports have done a really good job of getting their young players up to speed and having them be a real part of this team and make a huge impact.
Yeah, I really love how the rookies are just feeding off of the core. I mean, I'm still thinking of that moment where Kino looks over to Laxing for no reason at all and just gives him the heart eye emoji, right? In between rounds. Yeah. But Jacob, now is prime time for them. They win this, like you said. They're in 1st place, but in order to do that, we need equal effort from a lot of people on this roster.
Yep, it's going to come down to everyone on this team showing up, as it usually does on game day, but more specifically, the 3 top players on this squad, Kino, Vertical, and Laxing. Kino, been very, very consistent, probably one of the best rookie stages we've seen from any player so far in the North American League. Vertical also had a bit of a slow start, but he's come right back up, and he's right behind Kino in stats. And then Laxing, the man who had that MVP performance on Chalet against SSG only a little bit ago, proving that these guys need to step up and play off one another if they want to have some kind of result. And a big thing to note, by the way, is that there isn't really one necessarily superstar player. We talk about Grixer being a superstar, and he has kind of led the way for the Sonics in a big way, and he's at the top of the standings even still, stats-wise. Hot and Cold, another player that we talk about being that same way. If you look at the ratings for a lot of these top players on OXG, none of them crack into really the top 5 or barely even the top 10. Kino is highest rated on this squad right now. Again, by the way, playing on the support roles where you probably don't expect someone to be that highly rated, but this team is still playing around one another. They're not relying on one one individual performance to guide them to victory, like a lot of other teams do. A big example being Shuttle on DG, being someone who can carry that team on his back when required. But OXG is a team through and through. There isn't one person that's going to, be the catalyst, or if he dies a lot, then all of a sudden they'll lose. They keep on doing well because they're working together, and this is the most unified that we've seen this OXG squad be since last year.
Now, let's talk a little bit about Laxing as well, because when it comes to him and Kino, Jesse, I mean, they've been popping off, but the importance of both of them on this roster has been pretty much like a lightning rod, right? I mean, you have Vertical, you have Yaga, and you have Foxay, but consistently we see Kino in the mix, and the fact that they've let him off his leash, so to say, to just be free.
Yes.
And he feeds off of Laxing's free-flowing play style. This is a duo that I can really get used to seeing.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think you said it best when Kino's been really, let off the leash. We're seeing the operators here particularly I want to pay close attention to. I talked about how they work together well on the defense, trading between that smoke and that mute, but Kino bringing up the Twitch over on Coastline. I think this is a theme that we've seen from Oxygen recently on the more aggressive maps where they don't need to bring that double hard breacher. Kino's been playing a lot of these roles. He's been playing some Sledge, some Twitch here, and he's been really let off the leash and having a good time with it, right? And they're really giving a lot of faith to Kino to go out and make these plays, and I think the teams that have been trusting their rookies to make these big moments have been the ones finding success. Laxing, for his part of it as well, has been the standard big player. We've talked about how maybe he hasn't been as impactful as last year, but that's not because he's been worse, it's because he hasn't needed to be impactful.
I like that. Now, let's talk about the other team that's going to be in this matchup. We said a lot about Oxygen, and there's a lot we have to say about Beast Coast, so let's go ahead and bring up the roster. And Jacob, listen, we saw the game against Space Station Gaming. We see the tweets on Twitter, and this team, they're not happy with their performance, and they've racked up 2 losses this week, I believe. What's to expect from Beast Coast in this matchup? Because it is far from easy if they want to get this win.
It's true. Even though they're not playing for a very high standing by comparison to OXG, I do still think that this is a game of pride in their case. They currently sit in 8th place, directly above XSET, but they have the ability to vault into 7th, and that's also dependent on the result of the Disrupt game that'll come right after this one. So there is a chance for them to be a little bit higher and maybe tap into a little bit of that success that they found earlier in the stage. Remember back when they beat TSM in week number 1 and everyone thought it was the second coming of something great. All of a sudden, these guys from CL were going to have a breakout season and everyone was going to be really impressed by them. They have had some impressive moments, don't get me wrong, but I do question whether this is the team that could potentially play spoiler to OXG's bid for first place. They've got talent, they've got potential, no one can really deny that, but yeah, I think something that you've also mentioned before is that kind of the way that they run this team is something that doesn't seem like it's quite up to par with the rest of the teams in the NAL, so I'm curious about what their style looks like comparative to OXG's, who's been lights out and doesn't really show any signs of slowing down.
Jesse, one of the things that you've loved talking about recently on the desk is opening pick, and you know what the funny thing about that is? It always correlates to the post-analysis segments because it always makes sense and it paints the biggest picture. We saw it with Foltz last series, right? But you have another demo on hand, and it says a lot about opening picks in Beast Coast. What is it all about?
Well, let's bring it up here, and I'm glad you brought up False because he's actually going to be on the other side of the equation here. He's going to be the one going for a bit of a roam on smoke, right? It's a bit unorthodox, and it's a good play from False, but I'm really wanting to focus on Beast Coast, right? They drone him out. He's going to push here, and he's going to get a pick on Anthony. And there's 3 players who are playing inside of Solarium. It's Anthony, Fozo, and Ghost. And the fact that False makes this move and gets his pick, not incredible. It's a good play, but most teams lose this opening player. The issue is, how do they not pin him down here? He is up against 2 different players. He's about to get stunned by Zofia. He's got a player on Repel and a player on the doorway. He's all alone, and he makes it out of there alive. There's no universe in which a roamer should be able to get that kill and get away, and this is a consistent problem. To answer the question of why, we're going to try to see it back from Beast Coast's point of view, why they're able to let these, opening picks go untraded so often. Here's Ghost rotating in. We're going to flip between his POV and Fozo's. And it's really just it's an issue of not being aggressive enough. It's an issue of not trusting their own shots, some missed shots there. Here come the stun from Zofia to make things difficult. Then Ghost watches the other angle, and Fozo missing some crucial shots there as the smoke gets away. And it's just unfortunate because it is a trend that we've seen time and time again from Beast Coast. They're, losing the opening pick is one thing, but consistently not being able to trade it when you're on attack is the bigger deal, and that's something that we've seen them struggle with. I want to see them turn it around today.
That's a great point that you brought up, because I personally feel like Anthony is a game changer, and I would love to see Anthony get comfortable in those situations right there. But Jacob, on the screen, we have a guy who almost put off an incredible clutch yesterday. I love Rudy, man.
I love him too. He's one of the top 3 players on this team, directly behind Sippin and Anthony. He doesn't play on the entry role, but he does play a lot of Jaeger, which is a very aggressive role that they like to use him on, and it's something that kind of fits within Beast Coast's playstyle overall, but the problem just seems to be where else he fits in. He also has the most plants of anybody else on this team because he plays the Mavericks, so in his case, he's the player you don't really expect to get those clutches, and that came so close in that Chalet game yesterday. If we see more of those kinds of performances from him, then maybe that can spur the rest of his team on to be like, hey, we're really close to a victory, let's get something going here. Rudy is a bright spot even if his stats don't show it.
I mean, might be a hot take, but I think Rudy's the brightest spot on this team. I mean, take a look at when Gio pops off his hard breach, take a look at Code when he did it, take a look at what happened last series, and also what Rudy does in his respective role as well.
Rudy's a good guy, yeah.
Right, exactly. But Jesse, the players are almost ready, so when it comes to his map selection, make it good, make it fast, and let us know why you think one team might be on top of the other with this selection.
This is another one where I think we might be able to see a coast, and again, really? It's going to be banned out first thing. Okay, not going to be our plick then. Might see a cafe. That's one that I think would be pretty even between these two teams. We've seen it a couple of times from, Beast Coast in particular, and it is in the final two. Will we get the cafe? Chalet, the other option still on the board. Auction's choice. And no, we're gonna get Chalet. Okay.
All right.
Finally, a fun one today, and this is gonna be a good one. Auction Esports were the ones who ended TSM's dominance on this map. They beat them 7-5. Beast Coast, for their one play on this map, lost 7-5 to SSG. Close games from both teams, but there was a win for OXG and a loss for Beast Coast.
I love when you do that stuff, Jesse, right there. All right, so it's gonna be time for predictions, and we do have to make it fast because the players are just about ready. So Jacob, coming to you first. Oxygen? Yeah.
Yeah, Oxygen, yeah.
Okay.
And if Jesse is about to try to get that victory cake off of me, are you about to do what I think you're going to do, Jesse? Because you're behind me in predictions now.
Yeah, in order to win the victory cake that I boldly bet last game, I do need to pick Beast Coast. So we're gonna go for it. I'm hoping Bozo can step it up. I'm thinking Rudy could get some big plays. Let's see it.
He's
Beast
gonna
Coast.
do it.
I think they could do it.
He did it!
Well, at the end of the day, I'm 3 up on you, Jesse. Jacob, you suck as well. I'm 2 up on you. I'm just a desk host. With that being said, I think Jesse is just out of it right now. I like Beast Coast. In this matchup, I don't like him that much. I rock with Oxygen. Fox A is just way too beautiful and laxing, has the best plays in the world. Plus,
and the best biceps.
Right, and also Vertical. Vertical is just a doll. I love him to death. But coming up in this series right now, we have 2 for Oxygen, 1 for Beast Coast, and it's going to be on Chalet. So, my USN boys, Stokes and Blue, take it away.
All right, thank you very much, Veli, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our third matchup of the day. Arguably one of the most important ones, if not the most important one of the day, as this decides first place. And not only that, but it decides a potential very major difference in the prize pool for Oxygen and the Sonics specifically. If we see OXG able to pull off a win in this matchup, whether it's an overtime or through regulation, they will acquire an extra $40,000 in prize pool difference, as well as 120 additional SI points. And they will be taking that away from the Sonics, who can do nothing but watch this matchup and hope they lose.
Well, that is a way to put this puzzle together and really present it on a silver plate. Hello, everybody. It's John and I. We're here for Oxygen versus Beast Coast. And no, I think that you built this up perfectly, my man. I mean, coming into Chalet, Oxygen, Beast Coast, Oxygen vying for that first place spot. Already finding some success on this map this season. And it all comes down to this. What could be our most important match of the entire season? The opposite team across the way has to sit and watch them and see what the result of this is going to be. As we saw earlier on Twitter from Yeti, they've had an amazing season. This was supposed to be a rebuild for this entire squad. They never thought that they were going to be in this position, but that doesn't mean that they don't want the win.
Well, we do have our community poll as usual, folks. We want to know between both Laxing and Anthony, who have come alive in recent play days, which player is going to be able to keep it up today. Will it be Laxing from OXG or Anthony from the Beast Coast? Let us know in the Twitch chat or, of course, over on our social channels, most notably our Twitter at R6 Esports NA. And on top of that, once again, we'd like to implore you folks at home to go ahead and check our Twitter once again, as we have a survey there for you to take. If you would like to have your opinions known on the league, this is your chance to do so. So go ahead over there, check out the link. It shouldn't take more than 10 minutes to complete, and we would love to hear your thoughts on the way things have been running here in the Rainbow Six Esports department.
Absolutely. And don't worry about it, ladies and gents. We are just around the corner from getting into Chalet here. And as we were talking about on the analyst desk, we've already seen these guys before on these two matches. Oxygen obviously playing TSM, winning 7-5. And then Beast Coast falling 7-5 to SSG. So it's a callback to earlier maps that we've seen from these guys, but not too much play from any particular one. Let's see who can find success here, as it is paramount to both of them right now to further their money, especially in Oxygen's case, trying to get that first place spot.
The teams that are going to have to correct things in from the previous Playday on this map more so shifts our attention to Beast Coast, who had a lot of issues with their defensive half the last time this was played, and that was only yesterday also. So Oxygen have to be feeling, at least in my opinion, very comfortable about the way things are going into this matchup. But of course, they're going to be still a little bit nervous, I would reckon, considering the stakes that are involved in just this single best of one. Already through the attacker bans relatively quickly, as Thatcher and Maverick are going to get knocked out. Our first defender ban also coming up here, as Cade will be removed from the pool.
All right, and looking across the board here, Beast Coast getting rid of, well, let's see. They were able to get rid of the Thatcher here. The last time banning the Sledge away, and that's something that we've been seeing Beast Coast do a lot this season, is prioritize those soft breach bans on offense, but not this time around. Thatcher Maverick ban here for Chalet, so definitely going to complicate things when it comes to hard destruction on that side. So that's going to be up to Oxygen to try and figure out, but sticking with the mirror ban at a minimum. As for our friends over on Oxygen, though, they really like that Maverick ban. They're going to stick along with it, but Kaid to follow as well, just because of that Thatcher ban. Kaid extremely annoying to deal with without EMPs.
Now, from the limited play that the two of us have been able to see on this map throughout this season, the most immediate impact of the Maverick ban is going to be showing up on this site defense for master bedroom and office. There's that one wall on the 90 angle, or just on the outs, or on the main lobby balcony upstairs, where you need to take down the wall in order to access office, and we've seen a lot of Maverick used in that position. And then the obvious second one being the garage downstairs you need to access from the outside. That'll be the most immediate differential we'll see in how the attackers have to change up their game plan. So let's take a look at how OXG is going to handle it, as they immediately bring the ace into the play for this round.
And, well, this has happened in the past, I will say that, but Chalet actually being the only offender-sided map currently inside of the NA map pool, sitting at a 40% defensive win rate overall. Wine Cellar Snowmobile Garage, an old fan favorite of everyone on Chalet, actually being the worst bomb site now at a 23% win rate. So Chalet changing up quite a bit, I would say, but we've seen some innovation recently on this map, especially with the library play, I would say, coming in. It looks like we're going to be getting some new things as well here inside of office.
All right, so let's take a look here. Oxygen out on the board. Still going to have the extended positions to the inside of library. Slight bunker setup being deployed in the connecting room between top blue and library. Also, lots of opportunities here for Beast Coast to try and make an impact early on, as OXG more than likely going to continue to play into that usual position where they clear out library and start to take the rest of the second floor from there. Not going to be much in terms of a roam game from what we can see established on the first floor or the basement, but that can always change for Beast Coast here if we've seen a lot of late change-ups. Now teams are deciding to play, especially if they can't get an early advantage here. And that's going to be the case for Beast Coast. Kino already starting it out, taking out arguably the most influential player for Beast Coast on this map yesterday, Rudy. Not long after that, Kino still on rappel against the front door, is going to be able to knock out Ghost, and Sippin already taking some heat. Now it's sub 25 HP. Also possibly going to get pressured out of the position outside of library. And there we go. Moving in. Kino will pick up Sippin. Of course, he'll get the one kill before going down against Yaga. But
I mean, you definitely can't be. Your entire team's been decimated in the first minute by a singular guy, but that doesn't mean that Oxygen didn't have a hand in it overall. This setup is truly incredible what they're bringing to the table with the Lion, Zero, as well as Vertical on that Yana. I mean, it's just so much info utility to deal with. Kino even pressuring through the smoke. He's eventually going to die to Fozo, but he's already got the quad. The damage is done. It's a 3v1. So much time on the board. There's no way Fozo gets out of this unless he makes a miraculous play right now. But that round overall was simply Oxygen with a very nice clear of the top floor, as well as contesting down low with Kino's rappel to just decimate this defense. There was really nothing that Beast Coast could do. The utility that Oxygen are utilizing especially is going to be difficult for Beast Coast because they like to get aggressive on these defenses.
Well, Laxing is going to be able to clean things up here after a little bit of delay, and ultimately Oxygen will still wrangle control over round 1 there. Yaga, of course, to give some respect over towards his opponent, as he was one of the few players to go down for OXG inside of that round, which one that unfortunately was lost for Beast Coast, in my opinion, right from the very beginning. Oxygen just getting way too much control over that library as well as front lobby clear, never really giving Beast Coast, a chance to battle back on the inside of that round, as it had already gone down to nearly a 2v5 or 2v4 at least right from the first minute or two of the round.
Well, enough about that, and jumping into round 2 here and looking into Oxygen and what their game plan has been, because this is actually quite the change up from what we saw from them previously. Yeah, they did have a round played with the Lion, but it's only one round. They were able to win that one. That's the important factor. They've also had one round with IQ as well in their offensive lineups, but actually 0 rounds being played with the Yana. So that's a brand new thing coming in here for Oxygen. They did have 0 being played 100% of the time before. We did see him getting switched around as well. Ash actually having 0 play. They prioritized the Zofia over that the last time. So Oxygen reassessing what they think about this offensive lineup, and it seems to be working for them. Well, looking through this lineup very quickly, guys, and switching over to the defense, looks like Beast Coast have been able to at least set things back upstairs. Look like they want to go for the repeat here. Not too much of a change up in the overall game plan. They still want to play this for library, but when it comes down to the amount of info that Oxygen has, they don't want to try and set up for an extended roam, especially if they don't have anyone to actually assist them. That's the big part here, is we saw a lot of Beast Coast members on disjointed gunfights that were practically unwinnable. Granted, Kino just had very strong positioning, and that's always going to be something that you have to try and deal with.
First kill of the round once again going to go over towards Burt from OXG here, as they're able to eliminate Ghost, knocking out the Aruni from play early on here. Obviously her utility deployed, so relatively small consequence for that operator going down, as the gates will still be prevalent throughout the rest of the round here. But as far as the rest of the team is concerned, we still have Rudy in the extended library position, waiting out additional pressure here from OXG. Sippin as well on a bit of a lurk on the inside of gaming right now. Gonna see if he can find impact, but no, Rudy going to get pushed out of his position outside of library by someone else putting pressure onto him, and that drives into Yaga as he's able to get basically a free pick against him.
Difficult situation presented to Beast Coast once again, as we're on board with Sippin downstairs inside of bar. He has a possible nitro cell kill here. He'll go for it. Is able to take down Vertical before Vertical actually gets the frag onto him. So doesn't that work out well for the defense? But they still got a long road ahead of them. Vertical was only one piece to this what looks to be a very large puzzle, as Kino has been so very dominant so far, and it doesn't seem to be like he's going to slow down anytime soon.
Half the round gone. Momentary pause here between both teams, but we are going to see a frag grenade impact onto Anthony pretty heavily, knocking out a little under half of his HP. But she's still trying to be cautious, of potential swings from the inside of office. They'll move Kino outside to watch that, while Foxe deals with the hard destruction on the outer office wall.
Well, all 3 Selmas down, and it tears that walls to bits, and that's also going to make it to where they'll be able to move in and out of that rotation and possibly get a plant down. Fozo with a very nice angle here on the bomb chassis, all the way from Master to pick him up some frags, as he's got the MP5 with the 1.5, but now he's down to the 1 versus 4. And Beast Coast, with all this separation and very minimal team play, are now running into quite a few issues, as Oxygen have handled every single angle with precision and amazing utility usage. Finally, Fozo's able to get a frag. It's going to be on to Kino, our star boy so far here in the round, but now presented with this 1 versus 3. Fozo has to get through this with 35 seconds remaining. Hasn't had the greatest season on his hands, but it all starts now. Currently 2-0-1. Very minimal HP inside of this situation as well. Nitro cell still that he could use at any moment, but nice off angle here is on Lax, and he's boosted on the cases inside of Library Hall to claim round 2.
Once again, just far too strong of a position being established from OXG in the early round. On top of that, nearly a free plan, as it had gotten so desperate at that point. Not much hope for Fozo to try to come out with the clutch there. The laser gate actually coming back to haunt them a little bit. That was positioned in between Piano, as it acts as an early warning to OXG that he's about to swing when it's close, which is why he tries to go for that wider swing to pick up one of the kills at the end. Ultimately not amounting to much, though, as Oxygen clean things up to take a second round upstairs here. finally we'll see Beast Coast shifting away from that site, going to a kitchen and dining room hold instead, where they had great work yesterday being done on this site against SSG, and they're hoping they can pull it off once again against OXG to try to get some points on the board.
Yeah, this is a really, really big deal right now. But obviously, like we talked about before we got into this map, Chalet has not trended towards the defense's favor this entire season. So for Beast Coast, this is going to be difficult off rip, as they've shown with the last two master defenses. But I still am firmly on the train of thought of Beast Coast simply need to get some better team play established. There's a lot of one-on-one engagements, or not even one-on-one engagements. It's more on Oxygen on-one engagements where they're able to find these early picks, and Beast Coast aren't able to either refrag or translate any other thing across the map back into their own favor. So Beast Coast now moving things down to Kitchen, which obviously is still going to play into this top hold. Now, previously we did see them going with this usual operator lineup that they have been using, and they're actually going to be sticking with the Aruni as well. They've actually been using her 100% of the time on their defenses throughout all of Chalet, and that hasn't changed at all inside of these last 3 rounds.
I mean, I think it's safe to say that in a lot of respects, Aruni has kind of become like the new Wamai, especially when Wamai's banned, right? Because she fills in a lot of the same, you know, sort of gaps in utility that he would have been left from being banned out. I think teams would still probably prefer Wamai over her, possibly even running all 3 of them in some circumstances, depending on the site.
Yeah.
But obviously, teams aren't really being given the choice right now due to the prevalence of Wamai bans.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that she presents a very unique thing now inside of Siege. Granted that she has an, DMR as a primary or a fantastic SMG, as well as the ability to punch, single punch doors, punch holes in walls in the floor and things like that. She's just a different kind of operator because you can do very aggressive things like that. As you have 2 very different weapons that present 2 very different playstyles with that DMR as well as that SMG.
Finally, an opportunity for Beast Coast to make impact here, as they're finally going to get the first kill inside of the round, which has gone handily towards OXG in the previous 2 matches. Now, a little bit of different clear here needing to be made for OXG. Yaga with a great start yet again, though. Knocking out Ghost, who just can't seem to find any luck on these opening duels, once more falling to Yaga in this situation and possibly opening up some pressure to the inside of Office that Fozo now is going to have to try and find a way to deal with.
And right there, that's that right there is just good old Rainbow Six. Everyone's got tracer rounds. If you send shots, they're probably going to send shots back. That's free info, and able to pick up a kill off of that. Nice heads-up play there by Yaga to secure that frag and clear out Piano. Laxing dealing a lot of damage to Fozo, but he'll be able to live for the time being. That's quite the big deal when it comes to this top hold. Laxing trying to prevent anyone from playing vertical, as all of OXG is mostly focused on trying to get dining control, but they only have a singular Selma hole to work with as of right now, and that presents the issue where they actually have to hop into the site. They're not going to be able to just sprint in like they would necessarily want to off rip. Going into this last minute now, though, Oxygen need to try and get this clear going as well, as it actually seems like it might be an early execution. Smoke's coming in now.
Sippin trying to resist this as he starts chucking out those toxic babes to try and hold back the press from Oxygen. It is working to a certain extent. Fozo will try to get aggressive upstairs, but Laxing has the hold for that. And that stalwart operator holding the sidelines, as he's been doing for OXG on this map multiple times throughout the stage here. Problem is, the main push from OXG is stopped right now due to an inability to get past Anthony, as well as the smoke setup from Sippin. That's going to be the last Toxic Babe going out, so they will have about 15 seconds to execute once this expires. That's assuming there's anyone left, however, as Anthony and Sippin take out the last 2 players on the frontal assault, leaving Laxing alone in this 1v3. And Beast Coast more than likely with a 1 round here. Not much that Lax is going to be able to do. He gets immediately picked off upon crossing Rudy's POV. And that's a solid defense picked up by Beast Coast on the kitchen and dining defense.
Well, they pick up their first frag off rip on the round for their first blood, as well as their first round. And that's going to continue to be a trend here, as Oxygen have done the same. Their 2 rounds came with 2 first bloods as well. So either way, Beast Coast, better team play there, John. Able to play it out on site. The site players able to play their crosses extremely well when it came to dining. And the biggest deal there was Laxing didn't really have anything to do with the site push except for getting that kill upstairs, and then he kind of just stood flat-footed inside of the library hallway. He didn't push forward to try and play vertical or anything like that. Granted, he didn't have the intel on that situation, and that's the biggest deal. They didn't know where the rest of the players were, and Oxygen runs into this issue where they no longer have any insightful information to assist them further in their execute, so they have to try and run blind, and it just doesn't work out for them. Beast Coast playing utility to a T, especially when it came down to the toxic smokes.
All right, so another first floor site going to be executed upon here by Oxygen as Beast Coast choose the bar and games defense for their 4th round here, starting to find some solidity. But the issue is going to be, once again, they drift back to this extended library position, which has already been set up, so we know they're going to play into it. But so far, this has been unsuccessful in both of the rounds they've tried to set it up here. Oxygen has dealt with this play quite handily. So what is Beast Coast going to do differently inside of this round to try and correct their past mistakes?
Well, the good news is that overall this is actually one of the best sites to defend when it comes to our usual sightings, but actually truly, hold on one second, let me grab that for you guys. Kitchen dining being the best at 63%, bar and gaming coming in at 52 on the win rate scale. So second best when it comes to rating, but overall I think that teams just feel more comfortable here, I would say. We've seen a lot of really solid strategy when it comes to here. A lot of frost play as well. We won't be seeing that from Beast Coast, but could be something that they're keeping up their sleeve for later on. Just present them a bar setup without it first, and then, you know, pull the veil off the woman at the end. So we'll see how Beast Coast are able to lock down this defense. Still sticking with that Aruni, although we'll be exchanging hands away from Fozo as he will pick up the MP5K as well as will mine.
Yaga popping open that big window to grant access to the upstairs balcony. Not going to see anyone commit to the inside just yet. Sippin and the rest of Beast Coast very much ready for this pressure to work its way in, especially Sippin from the connector spot here. He's got to be cautious, though, since he is quite exposed, especially if the other window gets swung that he doesn't exactly have the best angle on. As a result of that pressure, he's going to move to the usual outside position. But like I said, this is where, in the past at least, on the first two rounds, OXG has had no problems clearing this out. Now, the good news is they're doing a pretty good job of denying the intel as it's taken them a moment. They're going to end up wasting a smoke grenade there as they try to chuck it in and burn out the laser gate. It'll work out, though, as it does allow them to open up this wall towards the inside, and once again should force Sippin out of position downstairs. But no kills going Oxygen's way just as of yet, and not really any positioning either. That should start to change over the next few seconds by clearing out Sippin's position. It should allow them to at least hop into the library, but there we go. Finally nice. A kill on the board as Anthony is actually going to be found out on the smoke also. So that's all 3 gas grenades dead on the ground, unused here by Beast Coast.
Extremely well done so far from Oxygen. Kino already knowing the position of Fozo as well. That's a really solid read. This is the, you know, a hot zone inside of this setup. It's usually the chimney player and then right into the top blue player, and Kino just predicts it. So either way, Oxygen moving forward so quickly right now. Already 2 frags as they bear down on top of Beast Coast. The verticality already coming in as Yaga switched over to Zofia, and he'll have breaching charges to be able to assist with that, as well as those concussions that could play a hand later on. Ghost trying to retake right now, but he'll be frozen in time as Kino launches his last EE1D. It appears that Ghost will be able to light up Laxing, but he's skimpered off into Library, trying to look for this possible planter down low. The Ace actually going to get the frag as Fox, they contest the top angle. Ghost down, Rudy dead as well. Flawless round for Oxygen as they're just looking too clean right now.
Ghost trying to make anything happen there. Obviously, if he drops the case, he has greater control over the situation. Still would have had to play out another player, and if you could see there in the replay for a second, I'm not sure if we switched away from it or not, but the Yana was actually priming a frag grenade to chuck up there a second ago as well. So in the event we saw Laxing lose that fight, more than likely was going to get traded a moment later by the frag anyway. So OXG still in a great position there once more, just having a couple extra second delay in clearing out the final member of the Beast Coast. That puts us at a 3-1 scoreline with 2 rounds remaining inside of the half. Like Stokes has mentioned a couple times, this map has trended itself a lot more towards the attacker's side, but Beast Coast having a lot of issues with their defense, and similarly that seems to be transitioning into today's game as well. Need to make an impact here. A 5-1 not going to be the easiest thing to try and work on their second half.
Yeah, it's very hard to say exactly what went wrong with Beast Coast setup that last time, as especially with the frag grenade coming in and cleaning up Anthony. We don't exactly know where it came from, but with the top clear, I think that was the most dominant section there for Oxygen inside of that first minute. I mean, it was extremely difficult for Beast Coast to handle, but the biggest problem is that Beast Coast weren't really attempting anything either on their defensive end. They were just kind of sitting behind their shields and waiting to see what Oxygen was going to do. They were more reactive than proactive, and Oxygen were definitely infinitely more aggressive than Beast Coast were, as we saw. They're immediately clearing out Chimney, throw someone inside of Library. Kino just freely pushes to the top of Blue. No one's contesting anyone and able to get the frag. They don't have any contention from down low or anything of the sort. It's just kind of an issue that they're giving up Library so freely right now. But that could obviously be a big in part to obviously not having access to that Kaid, but that's something that you might want to substitute later on if you do need that wall to be locked up for a little while longer.
Hey, remember how we were talking a couple rounds ago about how teams bring Wamai, Jaeger, and Daruni if they had the option to?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I mean, it's kind of obvious for the more, meta-inclined players that are watching us right now, but for the newer viewers, this is could be a trend we start to see more and more if Wamai tends to shift out of the ban pool, which I don't expect to happen anytime soon, considering this prevalence, but keep that in mind.
It's like, well, do you like to have fun? Because we're going to take it from you. So
we're going to eat all that fun up. We got how many pieces of utility is that now? That's like at least 9 pieces of meta-negating utility right from the start of the round, and that number continues to climb as the round goes on due to Wamai's timer.
Depending on how long Fozo's able to live for, and also depending on if Sippin and Ghost get resets on their utility.
Yeah.
It's technically infinite if you think about it.
I think it's 8 technically, because I think Wamai only gets 2 of the magnets before the prep phase is over, but it will pretty quickly go up to 3 as soon as the round starts.
And you guys wonder why Thatcher's banned all the time. Like, that's just so ridiculous. Oh my goodness gracious. Either way, though, Beast Coast, off to a hotter start here as they've delayed a lot longer. Sippin actually holding on to Library. And look at that, folks. They're playing for this area. Nice reinforcement here. No contention on angles right now. He'll be able to get the Selma off and actually be able to hold on to this quite a while longer. Sippin, fantastic stuff. This is going to work out for Beast Coast. Getting rid of drones as well, as they seem to be stuck in the water as of right now. Frag Grenade in does deal some damage, but Sippin actually dealing with everything. I think that's the last Selma. It is. He's going to lock everything up upstairs. They have to try and funnel.
That's a big mistake, trying to chuck that third Selma out. Sippin still on the inside. I believe there was a false call that the frag forced him out of position, and there was reasonable belief to assume it would have, considering their success with frags in past rounds, but this time, not going to be the case. Sippin remains a threat. That is until the clear comes in from Vertical right there, off of the Yana drone, so looks like he is going to eventually fall back. There's other issues lurking down in the basement that they're going to have to be cautious of as well here. You've got Sippin and I believe Fozo also lurking around there, ready to pop up the staircases and surprise OXG when they go for an execute. Now, I would bet good money that OXG has not had adequate time to drone a lot of this out, so they have to go in very cautiously, but also with somewhat of a rapid pace here, considering the time they have remaining. Vertical, though, with a good start again. Those frag grenades paying off, and Laxing with another kill from first floor, second floor Blue there, taking out Sippin. Ghost gonna get aggressive for the revenge, and he succeeds, but so does Fozo, taking out Kino. Yaga was able to trade out one more against Anthony. We're down to a 3v2. Yaga with the free lineup, though, and Vertical still harassing from upstairs, punishes out Ghost, takes down the last member of Beast Coast, and secures yet another round for OXG.
Oxygen recover in less than 30 seconds. Without any Selma charges or anything else, just pure fragging power, and Vertical being the pinnacle of what they needed there. I mean, doing it with not only the frag grenade, but also able to lock things down inside of bar while Beast Coast are trying to rotate back in to prevent that plant. But overall, Oxygen, that round right there was one where Beast Coast more than likely had their best chance to win a bar defense, and they just could not get it done, especially with just the angles that Oxygen ended up with. They had Laxing on Blue. That top control actually ended up paying off for them extremely well. They just really had what they needed to get that to go in the last couple of seconds, and they just performed it with flying colors. That was truly it. Beast Coast just did not have a chance to try and fight back. The fights just did not go their way.
Right down a kitchen and dining room. This is probably some good news for the Beast Coast fans. This was by far the cleanest site defense they were able to pull off yet, especially when it came to the actual execute there. There's not a lot of ways for OXG to make it work due to the back line that was being held on the kitchen and red hallway rotate here, although not the greatest start to the round here, as Fozo is going to get chunked down to about 33 HP. I believe that was a shotgun bullet from Sippin or Rudy.
That was Rudy.
Or Rudy, yeah, I believe, on the mute there. So a little unfortunate. Not the first time we've seen that happen on this specific map as well, so that's going to suck without putting
I mean,
Too much extra emphasis on it.
yeah. There's only one way to put that, and it feels bad, man. You know, like it just, especially for Fozo, right? Because he's had his season has not been that fun.
It's even
he's finally having a decent game.
It's even worse too, because Fozo, from what I remember on the last time that this site was played, was like the aggressive roamer or the aggressive extended player up here in Office that delayed Oxygen's take, and more importantly, kept laxing away from the main fight for so long. So he's not going to be able to be anywhere near as aggressive as he was before, because he's already set up to lose an open gunfight, assuming he doesn't get an immediate headshot.
Yeah, 4 of the 5 rifles right now on the offense kill him in 1 shot. Yep. So have fun with that. That's my explanation, and I'm sticking to it. Either way, Oxygen started things off now in round 6, and it's going to be exactly like we've seen them do it before. Kino sets up for the clear, so they get pushed out of Library, and if they try and contest Chimney, Kino more than likely kills them, or the onslaught of Oxygen members through Library does it on the opposite end. That's going to be a really early clear for them. They've got solid control, and they can definitely start work on this balcony hold whenever. Just need to get this wall open, have to deal with the mute jammers, as well as Rudy and Fozo, who lie in wait inside of Office and Piano.
No major action unfolding as of yet, but actually are starting to take small amounts of map control. And we're going to see Fozo get knocked down. I believe that was a frag grenade just off of a quick guess there, but Rudy going to end up rotating back up top. I didn't hear an explosion, so I'm not exactly sure how that ended up going down, but either way, Fozo's going to get brought back with 20 HP. No harm, no foul in that specific situation, I guess. No, it had to have been something from Beast Coast that took him down. I don't see any utility use on OXG's side.
There's
no way he just got accidentally shotgunned again, right? That's not what just happened.
It might have. I wasn't paying attention. I was writing down notes. I'll be 100% honest.
I only had audio.
Oh,
Fozo's still making it work.
No, he knocked down Kino. Oh, that's so big. That's so huge. Kino's been so strong throughout this so far. No more EE1Ds for them either. Rudy and them might be able to hold on to top here as well. Rudy's got super strong positioning here, especially because he's got the shotgun as the secondary as well. So if we actually are able to hold on to the other lane from Fozo, if he's able to hold on to Office in any sense of the word, they more than likely win this round, just depending on how this top hold goes. You can see they try and reinforce by rotating people through Trophy. Just get a resurgence up here. Fozo more than likely going to play his life, as he's already gotten a frag as well as his team trying to kill him. So like, he'd probably much rather die to the enemy and give somebody some sort of stat.
Fozo should get like hardcore trolled by his teammates inside of this round. They chunk down half his HP and then they down him accidentally in the middle of the round. I don't have that
actually
confirmed
be
to be
right
fair,
now.
that second part, but we're just kind of guessing off of the limited info we had. Either way,
it's a joke, guys. Oh, Yaga with the rebound, able to take down Fozo, but only 15 seconds remaining here for Oxygen, as Anthony's still holding down to this top floor, but it's actually a reinforcement for Oxygen on the front end as they're trying to get in dining, actually hopping inside of Trophy as well. They split their forces, but oh my, Ghost and Sippin with 2 doubles take them down. That's a big round there for Beast Coast, as they're able to hold on to the top floor just long enough to make Oxygen sweat.
Unfortunately for OXG, not nearly enough pressure on the backline hold over towards Kitchen once again. The Solarium side or Trophy side of the map, depending on which is more familiar to you. But that entire arsenal for Beast Coast just not really getting touched until that late round executed 15 seconds. And once again, similarly to how the last site defense on that specific site played out, it went pretty much as you'd expect there, with the defending anchors just tearing apart the remaining execute from OXG. What a chronicle inside of that round, though, for Fozo, trying to play that out from upstairs despite the numerous roadblocks that were being placed in his way. Great job by him on thriving, despite the kind of ridiculous circumstances he was playing under there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Fozo, if you need somebody to make an audio book about you, man, like John's got a pretty nice voice. I think we can use him. We'll write your entire journey, your entire story up until this moment, because it's that was a difficult one, and honestly, that's probably a tilter if they don't win that. So good stuff on Beast Coast to lock it up, because for Fozo, that was quite the scary round when it came down to it. Either way, though, we're going to be switching sides, as Oxygen will be performing their very first defensive round, and they're going to be going to Master just like our prior team did as well. Actually seeing a split hold across all of the sites for Beast Coast in that previous half. Master being played twice, Kitchen being played twice as well, and Bar coming in at 2 times for all of those sites getting a decent amount of playtime. We'll see if Oxygen tries to follow suit, but as of right now, definitely a lot different strategies coming in, especially with Foxay coming in on the Clash.
We're going to see a different reinforcement pool being distributed here for OXG on this site defense, too. I believe both of the balcony walls were reinforced for Beast Coast defense. We're only going to see the single one done this time around on the inside of office there. So a little bit different, does allow for the members of Oxygen to play a bit more aggressively against that potential opening, but obviously decreases the amount of necessary hard breach that Beast Coast need to bring to the table unless they want to knock down the alternate wall for just a better angle to push upon. Sippin has some great intel here. No ability to execute upon it just yet, but he's looking for it. Moves up, takes down the default cam that was left there. He's got to be cautious of that. I did not see it go blue at any point, so I don't believe the info was given. But he's still in a very, very precarious position. He knows his opponents might have info on him right now, so he's trying to play that out.
They do. He already shot. He literally shot a bullet. Like, they already know you're there. Just shoot the guy, or at least attempt to, or do something. Like, if you're going to shoot a bullet, go loud, man. Like, the jig is up. Like, you can't do anything else. So either way, Simmons going to be able to get away with his life here. Doesn't try and contest the Jaeger up top too heavily, but vertical, especially with that angle, that's a pretty scary one. Obviously, he could use a breaching round if he wanted to, but he just wants to hold on to space as of right now, so Beast Coast can try and work their way into what seems to be, as of right now, a trophy.
Rudy working his way up to a possible Solarium take here also. Sippin gonna spot out one player, making sure there's no top-down cutoff here established, and Foxe now gonna get put into a slightly awkward position as he can't really do anything about that Yana clone working her way up the stairs. That's just free info going over to the attackers here. More importantly about where Vertical's repositioned once again, as they've been hard focused on trying to knock him out. He's lost everything but the bathtub here and is trying to thrive upon that now. But look at this shutdown out of nowhere from OXG. Vertical finally thrives upon that position by the bathtub, takes out 2 players on top of another frag that's also picked up by OXG there. Ghost has the angle, but the metal bars are not playing into his favor. He has no idea that he just hopped out of the bathtub here. Rudy will swing in, but he's already been countered by Laxing with the TCSG of all things here.
No way. No way, Fox! No! No! Oh, the disrespect! The disrespect from Fox. Just lay him down. Put a fork in him. They're done. You can't. That's mental warfare right there. Somebody's got to check the rule book. I don't even know what to say about that. Oxygen up 5-2 after a flawless round up against Beast Coast, who literally could not do a damn thing on that clear. They go for a clear downstairs. They immediately insert their Ash right up into West Main, but they don't really contest for anything. They see some of the holes being there, vertical plane on that those 2 vertical areas in which they had created, but Sippin just simply shoots, one of the pieces of utility they had hung up. I believe it was a Valkyrie cam. And then he acts like nobody knows that he's there. So, but they do know he's there. Yeah. And like that was the biggest issue, is like they start to clear out down low, but you already like gave away the fact that the offense, or at least you, are there. So Oxygen adjusts for that. They put Clash on Trophy Stairs. They start to work that verticality. Vertical holds on to Bathroom the entire time. And the best part about it all, John, is they assist the guy and they shoot breaching rounds into the floor, and he kills all of them through that verticality. Like, it's very, very rough.
I would argue there was almost way too much focus from Beast Coast on trying to deal with Vertical specifically. Like, yes, he had a nasty cutoff for if you guys were going to try to push Solarium stairs, but
yeah, but they already chose not to deal with him, right?
Yeah.
Like, you could have dealt with him early on. If you see the verticality there and you know he's playing that, then shoot a breaching round into it and contest him. The angle's going to be too big for him to run away from. You're probably going to tag him up to where he won't want to recontest or something along those lines. But either way, like, Vertical held on to that for a really, really long time. And if you didn't want to prioritize him, I completely agree with you. I think that they should have went for the site push instead.
Yeah. Especially with the Clash still being on Solarium stairs, that was a problem that they had to deal with going up to those.
And they have Zoe for that. Like,
yeah.
They had to
just kind of like Hail Mary leap someone in from the rappel on Solarium too, because they were just running out of players to use in that situation. Anthony dodging bullets like he's in the Matrix right there. In the meantime, he's going to be able to survive. I believe this is Vertical shooting on the other end of this one, but not going to be able to meet any of those bullets with any of the members on Beast Coast at this point in time.
Well, Fozo finally coming alive for Beast Coast, but not in the best fashion, as Sippin currently 5-0-5 as well. Fozo 5-2-7. Anthony with the opening frag here for Beast Coast, and that could mean success when later into this round, as so far that has been the trend for these first bloods.
No way.
Laxing.
No way.
No one checked the corner. You're playing against Laxing, guys. What? Oh no, not like this. Not like this.
I mean, that's just free right there. That's all you can really say about that. Just Beast Coast didn't check and
oh man,
are likely going to lose the round because of that mistake, though. We'll see what Rudy and Anthony can do. They still have half the round to play off of, mind you, so this is not a done deal as of yet. But oh no, the near ace at least is going to get denied by Anthony. He's also having a little bit of a fragging spree himself, but the problem is he's on Yana. He does have 2 additional explosives to try and deal with utility between the 1 frag grenade and the Gun 6 that's sitting in his secondary slot right now. However, he's also in a 1v3, and as far as I can tell, has basically 0 intel about the remaining 3 players on OXG's positions. Not to mention, we have frost mats distributed somewhere across this map also that he's going to have to pay attention to.
This happened so quickly, I didn't even have the site written down in my notes yet. Like, it's just... For Beast Coast, that's something that you just have to do. Like there's no other if, and, or buts about it. That's just simple droning. That's fundamentals. So that's really, really rough for BC.
Nice.
Anthony will at least get 1. That's going to be a triple for him on the round. He's got some info, but Foxay just too strong with that Vector. Will take him down and force match point here as Oxygen are on the cusp of being #1 inside of North America.
$40,000 is what OXG are going to gain with just 1 more round going into their pocket. You can bet they're going to try and play their hearts out for this one. On top of the SI point advantage, they'll also gain by coming out first place. They'll more than likely be among the top contenders trying to go to SI 2022.
You know what sucks? You know what sucks? It kind of feels like we're kind of doom and gloom right now because of Beast Coast, but Oxygen are playing so unbelievably well right now. Like, if we want to switch to more of a positive tone, let's talk about this for a second. Oxygen have like systematically dismantled Beast Coast on offense and on defense.
Not to mention,
it was just so tough for them.
Like obviously we haven't seen every team play every team on this map as of yet, but I would argue that OXG are looking to be one of the most dangerous chalet teams in North America as well, with the way that they've been playing this. Especially.
Oh no!
What's up?
Well, they ended up going to our least favorite site.
They're gonna try. I mean, they got a 4-round advantage. They can play around a little bit here.
This is assault.
If this one doesn't work, just go to a better site. I mean, it's really that simple.
Yeah, it really is at the end of the day, isn't it? And Kino going to be bringing out the Bandit as well, so we could see some possible Bandit tricking. But from all the offenses we've seen, nobody prioritizes Garage like the old days. It's all about wine, just because of how you can actually split up the walls and actually be able to hold your crosses deep into the actual site there. So we'll see how Beast Coast want to do that. They'll have all the utility necessary to do so. Also going to be switching Fozo up onto a Nomad. More than likely a really good idea, as Oxygen has been so strong on their roam game so far, as we saw in the previous round.
A lot of difficulties with teams attacking and planting inside a garage to play post plants, and it's definitely possible to set up a viable post plant on the inside of this site. We've already seen it with one team utilizing it quite potently here. Flash is going to go in to try and obscure Kino's position, but that'll get eaten up pretty quickly, or should have. Nope, never mind. It's going to go down there as the Flash ends up getting eaten up by the ADS, but the frag obviously will have the ADS on cooldown, so not going to work out there. Battery does go down. Other wall should be getting open, though, because the stun on Kino disallows him from successfully tricking that right wall that he had left unbatteried.
Okay, so Beast Coast prioritizing Snowmobile Garage. They have 1 Selma left. Don't have real control of the actual map, at least for Fireplace Hall. That's where Laxton's going to be holding things down upstairs on Library Balcony here, transitioning over to Chimney. Beast Coast are definitely taking their time, but the main issue is that they've got a couple disjointed parts. Sippin all by himself, literally just walking into sight. He waltzes in. He gets a freebie. Prioritizes blue, but Yaga puts him right in the dirt, Sippin. You're going to have to back off just a touch there as the rest of Oxygen shows up to the party. But Anthony, with 2 quick frags, finally ghost assists as well. And it looks like Beast Coast are finally here to shut it down. They sneak in the back door while Oxygen aren't ready. And they stay alive here on Chalet.
A very much needed round for Beast Coast in order to keep their chances alive here. More importantly, to keep their chances of moving up another position inside of the NAL Live, as well as they are also looking to ascend from their current placement to get as high as they can before the end of the season. So let's move in here for the end of the stage. Just to clarify, the season lasts all year long, technically, so make sure we have our terminology correct. Like I said, for OXG, they're probably not going to worry too much about that lost round. That is, as Stokes explained earlier in the cast, by far the least defender-sided site we have played. Only, I think, 2 successful defenses so far in NA on side of that map. So
it's 2 or 3. Yeah, it's 23%.
I think almost all of them were, like 2 out of 3 of them were from one of yesterday's games. So
yeah, and all of that came with like really, really early picks where like it's just difficult to try and crack the site open in general. Like we didn't see a site execute that just like went awry. You know what I mean? So it just, that site's difficult, man. The team that perfects that site. I don't even know what to do with that one. That's the biggest thing, because like a lot of the times when you see a site like that, you're either going to want to like try and hold things down with like a pretty solid anchor game, like 3 players downstairs that just have like pretty solid crosses and solid utility for defense, and then, you know, try and get a roam game going. But the roam game on Chalet gets just really weird sometimes with how the offense can cut things up and the areas that they can cut off with like a single hold upstairs. Like we saw Kino being able to lock down library stairs all the way from Ego balcony. Like that's stuff like that is extremely difficult to try and work around. So, you know, it just presents a lot of issues right now that I don't think any team has really been able to get a hold on.
All right, so potential final round once again coming up here for OXG as they fall back to kind of the old reliable site, but a lot of teams are immediately going towards here, that being the second floor master as well as office setup here. Probably the most straightforward defensive setup out of all these sites here is you're mainly prioritizing the library hold and then just the usual setup on the site itself. Okay, like what we're seeing here from Beast Coast, this could be hyper aggressive, and I think it is. Both the stuns working their way in. Fozo taking some heat on the process, but they've got in. Rudy is attempting the plant. Fozo's got an entry to work off of here as well. This could play out well for them. Kino will start the response as he takes down Fozo, but there's no one here. Everyone's still on roam out by library right now, so Rudy will continue to move forward. 2 more kills roll out for the Beast Coast as well, and just like that, we're down to only Foxay in a 1v4. He has no clue how to play this. Nearly gets picked off by a player holding the bathroom window, and a final swing from Sippin' in a solarium seals the deal. Beast Coast are coming out with the aggression all of a sudden, and it's working.
Well, I mean, at this point in time, what do they have to lose? What do they actually have to lose? Nothing at all. They want to try and push this into OT and at least give Oxygen a run for their money, and that's a way to start it off here within 2 rounds now. But the biggest thing for Beast Coast there is being able to get the plant down, as well as translating kills early inside of that play, which granted them piano coverage, as well as just being able to take the rest of the site. And obviously, like we were talking about before that play even happened, was how roaming on this map and trying to retake and things like that is quite difficult with how the offense can cut things up. And you saw exactly that. I mean, Beast Coast able to hold down the top of Solarium stairs, or at least the entry point from that, all the way from the window inside of the bathroom. Like, there's a lot of deep angles that you really have to consider when trying to make some plays, and it's just very, very difficult to try and actually get around.
So, a reattempt on that site going to come in from Oxygen, probably a pretty major change up to the defensive positioning going to come out as well. We do see Goyo coming into the fold here for Laxing. I believe that was in play on the last round, but might be a new addition here. Like I said, I don't have the lineups written down. I don't know if Stokes got it or not, but if you can offer insight here.
I didn't hear the question. I'm
No,
sorry, buddy.
I'm just wondering if they were running the Goyo in the last round as well on Laxing.
They were running the Goyo, yeah.
They were, okay.
Yeah, I think it was on Fox, I want it? No, Fox was definitely on the Clash.
No,
yeah, never mind.
Yeah. That came down to the final player. All right, so things staying still relatively the same. More than likely, the roam game going to stick a little bit closer to the site this time. Now, of course, Oxygen themselves probably doubting that Beast Coast are going to do the same exact thing again, so they're not going to make any major immediate change-ups. But let's see if Beast Coast are bold enough to try something like that once again, because I personally doubt it. But there is going to be some aggression coming off them right off rip at the front door here. They try to push their way into the living room.
Well, it's something that Kix and I were talking about last night with a lot of these teams, you know, inside of NA and just globally, right? A lot of the problems run into where teams don't take in consideration their own play style and they just worry about what everybody else is doing. And I feel like Beast Coast are finally getting back into the groove of like, oh, hey, we actually have our own game. But the problem is right now it's a little too late, right?
Yeah.
Like they're starting to find their groove, but you really, really need to understand how you want to try and combat a team and the specific play style that you want to go with. The biggest issue is that Beast Coast didn't think that their aggressive plays were going to work because of all the roaming and like early engagements they had on their defenses where Oxygen just decimated them. Specifically Kino early, right? And that made it to where Beast Coast just didn't really want to try and take as many engagements as they had, and they started running into a lot of issues. But now we do have an opportunity where they can possibly run this back. Obviously still needing these 2 rounds. They'll be able to get one of the soft walls open here inside of office and start looking for a possible execute here later on. Oxygen are doing a great job though of backing this off slowly, especially Foxay with the Clash play right now.
Foxay getting pushed into a corner. We'll have a lot of pressure on him, but as Stokes said, he's going to be able to fend off any pushes from the primary doorway leading into the office. That's going to prevent the swing from Ace, as well as a couple other players trying to get aggressive. Oh no, Laxing. That's a great opportunity, and it stays. He's going to be able to frag out with the double here. Nitro to top to finish off the player on the banister. Nearly gets a third in the process, but the other player's going to read that, get out of the way. Pistol to finish off Bozo as the impact has been made. Beast Coast have to watch their back, but they're not doing it. Sippin also going to be lost here. Ghost still trying to play this out, but now he has to be cautious of Laxing. Also, if he swings too far into this hallway, the electrocution is going to take him down, and if not that, then Laxing continuing the rampage on the flank as he gets his third inside of this round.
We are not worthy of the Rat King, folks. This guy can find a roam anywhere, and it's a quad to shut it out. Laxing, Oxygen, first place inside of North America. I cannot believe it. This is actually incredible. 7-4 in favor of OXG.
A massive rebound in this season for a new roster that was hoping to finally make an impact after failing to do so many times inside of 2020 and even going back to 2019 when this team was represented by Reciprocity. But finally they take it. They're going to be getting first place inside of this stage because they're going to be taking home that big upgrade to the prize pool overall.
And I mean, Beast Coast up against Oxygen here, able to eventually find some fight and bring some rounds back, but it just wasn't enough. It was coming down to the wire there. Only 2 rounds left inside of regulation, but they just seemingly could not find the entry needed there at the last second, especially that last round just being mostly the Laxing show. Just no one really concerned about what was going down on the roam game, and all of a sudden Laxing practically spawns on the bottom of main stairs with the TCSG-12, cleans up 2 people immediately, and is able to confirm with the Nitro cell and translates that into a quad later on. I mean, what else is there to say about that game besides it looks to be green dominance?
I think you said it best at the beginning of that last round there, is we were starting to see Beast Coast bring their own flair to the game, especially with the aggressive play to be able to take that Master and Office round. Unfortunately, we were seeing a little bit too little of that, and unfortunately, it was a little bit too late as well, so never really getting to see more of those strategies shine out there as they were trying to play a little bit more cautiously and ended up losing quite a few rounds as a direct result of that, especially in the early game. Once again, when they were on defense, that library position never really panning out for them. A couple other sites, most notably the kitchen defense, looked absolutely brilliant. In fact, it really never got challenged by OXG. That was the one real black mark in OXG's overall gameplay here. But aside from that, it was just OXG domination time and time again, both on the attack and on the defense there, as we saw specifically from Laxing in those last couple of rounds. Really impressive stuff from them. That's going to close it out for our our personal first game of the day, our third overall. We still have one more coming up, and on top of that, we're going to have an analysis dice segment and an interview with one of the members of the OXG roster coming up after this break.